Hi everyone, Coyote Montana here, and I want to say Happy Memorial Day. So today, I'm going to tell you about the history of CDs and CD players. Now, if any of you know what a CD is, then you already know. And you already know what it stands for, and some of you might know what it stands for. Well, you see, CD stands for compact disc. And why? Well, my dad told me all about this. So, here's a good history about this. Many years ago, around 1979, before my time in 1998, the CDs were first invented in that year. Because if you head on to Google, you'll find out. So the compact discs were first invented in 1979. And during around 1979, 1980, and 1981, they really don't know what they used them for. There were no CD players back then until later on in 82. So, what did they actually use before the CD players? If any of you were around back then and probably might know, let me know in the comments below. So now let's get on to the best part of all. Around 1982, that's when the CD players were first invented. And I was looking at this image on Google of the very first CD player that was ever made. And it was made by Sony. And it's called the Sony CDP-101, which is this. See that? This is the world's very first and oldest CD player. You see, when this old timer first came, that was the time when Michael Jackson made his album, which is Thriller. Yes, this album came in 1982. That's on an LP vinyl, cassette, and CD. And that's how you could tell, because this is why they have the discs like this. But don't worry, I will talk about these CDs here from the 80s until I get a lot of CDs from the 80s, and I'll explain why about the plain silver with writing. So around the 80s, when they were doing more cassettes and CDs, more CD players were being made from other companies in different models. And then later on in the 80s, that's when they were shown on TV years ago. And this is where the CDs and CD players were first introduced. Now, here's something you might know, and might not know. And my dad told me everything about this. You see, years ago, around the 80s, the CD players and the CDs were at a high price, like right here. Because, well, I don't know why, because well, I don't know why, but they were at a high price, and people couldn't even buy them because they were too much money. So they continue on buying cassettes, and you know they're like this, the tapes, and they're old school. So around the late 80s and early 90s, that's when the prices of the CDs and CD players went down low, at a low price, and that's when people began to buy them and buy a lot of CDs and less cassettes. So here's something you might know that happened around the late 80s when the prices were going down. And in the late 80s, there were these other CD players that came. And I actually found them on YouTube during 2021. And this one is the Yorx CD Pal CD player, and this one's an old timer. Now, by the looks of it, it looks really good. And right there, that's where the CD goes in. Because when you actually press it, it kind of actually looks like one of those cassette doors from a cassette player, but this is a CD player. Oop. Because there's a button right there, and you can actually place the CD in. And then there's another one in the 80s. I'm just keeping it low because my parents are still sleeping. And then there's another CD from the late 80s, which is the Sears LXI series CD player. And this one turned out to be The very first CD player with a top loader. Yes, that's how top loader CDs became really popular up to this day. With clock radios and boomboxes too. So, anyways, now on to the 90s. During the 90s, more CDs, cassettes, and CD players were being made. So the one that my dad had is from something that was from the 90s. My mom actually got it for him, along with some CDs. And believe me, when I was young, it kind of actually hurt my ears. But not anymore, since I'm a bit grown up. Well, the reason why is because, my disability. Nothing wrong with that. And then around during the 2000s, a bit more CD players were made and more CDs were made, and there were less cassettes. Not a whole lot of them in the 2000s, because the CDs were really, really, really popular when they still continued to do more of the LP finals and stuff. And during around the 2000s and the 2010s and up to the day, they were doing portable CD players where you can actually carry them around in, which is pretty good. And there's these boomboxes that has a built-in cassette and a built-in CD player with a radio. And there's some that just has a built-in CD player that has top loaders. They're like the doors. But now up to this day, it gets better and better with CDs and CD players. Like there's the Studebaker Master Blaster's boombox CD player, because those are one of those old school types, but with a CD player in. So yeah, that's everything you know about the CD players, everyone, and the good old CDs. Boy, I'm just glad I'm just getting a lot of CDs because, thanks to my dad and my mom. And also, before I end this, say a good prayer to the kids and the teachers who were killed down in Texas in an elementary school, okay? One like equals a prayer for them, alright? Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like, send some comments, and hit the bell button for brand new videos, and I'll see you next time. Happy Memorial Day, everyone. God bless America. Peace out.